This is episode number 36 of Hitting for the Cycle. That's Ben Kruse. I'm Ryan Touhey. And Ben, how are you doing on this fine day?
Good. As you guys can see, that I'm not in my usual spot. I'm in Foxborough, Massachusetts right now. I was at the Tom Brady ceremony last night, and just an absolutely incredible night. I, definitely want to trade the world for it. So yeah, I'm excited to talk some ball with you on this great Thursday for me. The Celtics are 1 away from the NBA Finals, so that was obviously a plus with the people last night there. So yeah, just vibes are great right now.
Yep, Celtics are on the verge of capturing what number would this be in the NBA championship category for them?
18.
18, geez. Look out, Yankees, they're coming. But we got a couple of things that we're going to get into today. But before we do, we just want to remind everybody to follow Hitting for the Cycle on Facebook, X, and Instagram at HFTCETB. Follow the Empty the Bench Podcast Network at ETB Network. Follow our YouTube channel at youtube.com/ETB Network. You see it right here down below. And finally, listen to us on whatever platforms you get your podcasts.
Yep. And always, guys, this show is presented to you guys by Playback. Watching sports is more fun with others, but we spend too much of our time watching alone. Playback is a virtual space where communities can stream live sports together with everyone perfectly synced up. Creators can hop on stage, deliver their own play-by-play analysis and commentary, and invite viewers up for Q&A. Playback makes watching sports fully interactive and a social experience. From playing fantasy sports, repping your favorite players and teams, and watching with commentators and communities you care about. Win or lose, sports are best enjoy together. Join our community by going to playback.tv/ETB network to find out more, including our live stream schedule. Of course, you guys have kind of been seeing it, at least for now, have kind of been seeing it in past episodes. You guys can find us on Empty Bench Network /playback.tv. We're doing pretty much the NBA final stuff from there. We obviously have some streams coming up. We have another game tomorrow night at 8:30. Don't miss out on that.
All right, so we are going to get into it, and we are going to begin with what your personal favorite guy around the Red Sox organization, John Henry. And he has come under fire in recent days for some controversial remarks that he's made. Most notably, he criticized Red Sox fans for their high expectations that they have for the team. And basically, he chewed them out, saying that it's unrealistic for Red Sox fans to expect championships almost annually. They easily become frustrated and are not going to buy into what the odds actually are, 1 in 20 or 1 in 30. And in addition to that, Henry is also, it seems, has been focused on other things besides the Red Sox and baseball. And he also said that he does not intend on selling the Red Sox anytime soon. He mentioned how him and his wife live in Boston. And he said that they are committed to the city and to the region, and they're not going to come up for sale, and we don't sell assets. Now, Ben, as a Red Sox fan, I'm just going to let you have the floor and let you air your grievances to what you think about some of these comments that Mr. Henry made, and just give me a taste of what's going on behind the scenes with the Red Sox.
Yeah, like I said before the show, if I wasn't in a hotel room and I was at my place, I'd probably given it a little more. But I got stuff to say. And I said to you this off the air in terms of the article that I sent. It just feels like, Ryan, every single time that this guy or Sam Kennedy opens up their mouth, it's just for the wrong reason. And just for an overall fan that's been close to a diehard, really, pretty much my whole entire life. I've never seen this organization pretty much at a low than it has been at this point in time. I mean, I know that the last couple years has been fairly rough. As myself for a fan, I mean, 4 of the last 5 last place finishes. And if it wasn't for John Henry to give us 4 championships, well, like I said, I'm very grateful for. Not a lot of people can say that. He wouldn't be here. He just wouldn't. I mean, that's partly that, and also just him being in Boston. And I just don't think ownership wants to just get rid of this guy. But the stuff that he is saying, I mean, unrealistic expectations. You understand specifically that this is the Boston Red Sox. This is a top 3 payroll in MLB. this is just absolutely disgusting to hear. It's really, really frustrating. It's for a lot of specific fans that give a lot to this overall team for the boys of summer. And just to hear that overall, it's like essentially, like I said this in an overall video, if like you don't care, we don't care. And that shouldn't be an overall type of thing for a big market like Boston. You look at like a team like the Yankees, a team like the rival, who, by the way, we're going to talk about later on, as both of our teams finally play each other this weekend. But like it's just a different vibe than I like used to, and maybe it's just because we've gotten rid of so many star players, but just it just doesn't feel the same. It really doesn't. I mean, I don't think as many people are going to games anymore. I mean, people shouldn't be. I mean, I've seen a lot of Red Sox Twitter pages saying stop buying fucking tickets to see this team, because it's just gotten to a point where ownership just does not give a damn, and it's really, really awful to see the unrealistic expectations. I think they actually asked Alex Cora this on a Boston radio show, I believe, on Friday, and he was very indifferent with these comments. He said, "Yes, I understand part of it, but we're also here to win." And some players too have been also reaching out to this, and they didn't like it. So, a lot of people, not just Red Sox fans, but players and other people aren't in favor of this. There's just massive disconnect with this organization right now, and it's just extremely frustrating to see.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. I would, even though I'm not a Red Sox fan, I would say I don't think this is rock bottom in the history of the organization. I mean, there have been some pretty tough years for the Red Sox. I mean, 2012 was pretty bad, obviously.
Yeah,
And you obviously also had a couple of last place finishes in 14 and 15. Those are pretty tough years.
yeah,
But I mentioned this, I think, in last week's episode or maybe over our Slack chat, how because Henry has the four rings to show his worth, I feel like, he has some leniency towards him being able to say this and to, back off on saying, don't expect a championship every single year. Obviously a major
that's the
league.
thing.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say that too during my little thing was like, he's saying we're expecting champions every single year. Yes, like I get it, but like we're not. We're just asking legitimately for at this point in time competent, competitive baseball, and we're not even getting that. Like we're essentially having 4 to 5 last place finishes with just bad fundamental baseball, bad defense. Hitting wise, it has been great. But yeah, it just turned into a little clown show. And I think I stand correct in terms of the low point, Ryan, in terms of what I said before. I think it's more of the direction in terms of the team. It's like, because I think a lot of people at this point are like, all right, I get like we're in a rebuild at this point in time, which is fine. But it's the matter of terms of like, if you're a big market type team, you're going to hopefully start to spend a little bit. And for a top three payroll like the Red Sox do, the fact is that he's saying a lot of this just does not give a lot of confidence to a lot of us fans that things are going to just automatically start changing with the ownership. You could put in any different types of GM like Breslow or Chaim Bloom. Heck, I give Chaim Bloom a massive apology. Heck, I'm not the biggest time guy, but then kind of realizing kind of how things have kind of transpired recently, it's been more ownership than anything because he just doesn't pay them as much attention to an organization that we used to love. And I mean, I still love them. Don't get me wrong. I'm still going to obviously be a fan of them, but I'm not obviously going to see them as the same. And you want to hear something sad, Ryan? Is like win or lose at this point, like I don't even feel anything. If like I legitimately, there was a guy yesterday in front of me. He was telling us, I think it was his girlfriend ever. He's like, "Hey, the Red Sox won," and she's just like, "Oh, that's awesome." Like it wasn't even like a like, "Oh my god, let's go" type of thing. And maybe it's just because like the Celtics obviously were playing at that time, but like just the overall team itself, like I don't think that the overall vibe like it once was in the city is just the same, just based on terms of the stuff that's been transpiring recently.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Sox have had some good years. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that they won their last championship, but, but besides those World Series teams, they've really been inconsistent, been up and down. It's been hit or miss. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a Red Sox fan by any means, obviously, but to see them finish in last place as frequently as they have over the past, however many number of years now, really dating back to 2012, obviously they have 2 World Series titles to show for it in between that span, but there are also a lot of last place finishes too, and that's not acceptable for a big market like Boston. You're one of the top markets in all of Major League Baseball. You're up there with obviously the Yankees and the Dodgers and teams like that, and to have as many last place finishes, you know, as you do. I mean, the World Series titles definitely make up for it, but it's still not acceptable. And it's a pain. It really is. Even though it's got to be a pain for Red Sox fans. So.
Yeah, and like I said before, they're just acting like a small market. Like that should not happen. I understand at this point in time with Heim Bloom, they had to get their farm system ready, which is great. And I think obviously the direction currently right now, Henry looks at it as kind of what us fans are like. All right, like we have Meyer and Teal and a bunch of these young kids, kind of like the young big three, kind of coming up pretty soon. But it's like they don't realize specifically is they're relying so much on the prospects, and I just I just don't know specifically if that's the right kind of direction to do. Like you're able to kind of compete and you're able to kind of keep a lot of those prospects for the long term, but you just don't know how the thing's going to be kind of working out. And so especially too, Ryan, is the division's going to keep on getting better. Like I'm anticipating Soto and Judge being with the Yankees long term. I do not see Soto leaving. I know obviously we've talked about it before. The Blue Jays obviously have kind of had a rough year, but they'll probably kind of get things going. The Rays obviously currently don't look great, but the Rays, like they'll figure things out, some way somehow. And the Orioles obviously are going to be a freaking pain for both of us. So it's not like you can look at the Red Sox and be like, all right, there's kind of a little leeway of like look at the other teams in the division and being like they're kind of like they're going to all be great for the long term. So people want to talk about the last place finishes, with the team recently. If things don't change and there's not a lot of change happening, you just never know. Like you just don't know. And a lot of fans are going to start tuning out the more and more things just kind of start getting downhill.
Yeah, it's a sticky situation in Boston. And, like you mentioned, I mean, the Red Sox do have some talented prospects, but their minor league system overall, their prospects overall are kind of mid, I think, in Major League Baseball. They're not among the best farm systems in Major League Baseball as of now. But I mean, they haven't really had the best farm system though in recent years, and they've still been able to develop guys out of into superstars. I mean, Mookie Betts wasn't a highly touted prospect when he first came up, and then he blossomed. So maybe the Red Sox will strike gold again, and one of these guys will turn into the next Mookie Betts or something like that. And I mean, trading him was inexcusable. It was absolutely inexcusable. And I know that we've talked about it before in previous episodes. We don't need to go through that again. But,
definitely.
But yeah, I mean, there's really, I don't know how much more we could add to this. It's definitely frustrating for Red Sox fans. As a Yankee fan, I obviously don't really have much thought about this. But yeah, it's interesting to see it coming from the other side, on the outside.
The only really good thing that the Red Sox have done recently is they moved their game for the game Friday against the Yankees up at 6:30 to potentially have fans to watch the Celtics potentially clinch on Friday night. That's the best thing they have done recently. So I guess props to you. I guess.
Well, that gives the Yankees one less sour to prepare themselves for Friday night as well, because they're going to be coming in from Kansas City after today. So, yeah, we'll get right to that. So, obviously, this weekend marks the first time this year in 2024 that the Yankees and Red Sox will meet. And obviously, we're in the middle of June now. And with the new balanced schedule in Major League Baseball, the Yankees and Red Sox only play each other 13 times instead of 19. So hence, this is why we're facing each other now for the first time. I feel like, a little bit too much time has passed, honestly, for the first meeting between these two teams. I think they probably should have faced each other at some point, either in I think they should have faced each other at least once already, probably in May, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, it's a 3-game set in Fenway beginning this weekend. The starting pitchers have not been announced yet for any of these games.
Oh, really?
I'm looking on the MLB app right now, and
okay, because I looked at ESPN. I think ESPN. I typically do a lot better with finding the matchups.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at what ESPN has for Friday. All right,
Well, I'm
Friday.
assuming Luis Heel is going to start Friday for the
Yep,
Yankees
they have him against Cooper Criswell on Friday.
against who? Cooper
Cooper
Criswell. Oh,
Criswell.
Criswell.
And then Saturday they have Rodon against Brian Bayo, which should be a really good one.
That should be an interesting one.
And then Sunday Night Baseball, we have Stroman projected against Cutter Crawford.
Ooh, that's an interesting matchup too.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these teams' starting rotations have been the strength for most of this year. The Red Sox, I think, still have one of the top team ERAs in all of baseball. That's basically the main reason why they haven't completely collapsed yet, I would say. So the Red Sox pitching has been very strong. The Yankees starting pitching obviously has been very strong as well. That's been talked about a lot for this season. And Luis Heel making I think this will be Heel's first start at Fenway Park in his career, maybe. I could be wrong. I think he may have had one or two starts at Fenway
Is this
before.
Heel?
Yeah, Heel.
I don't know.
I don't remember if he's
I
ever
feel like
pitched.
maybe he pitched in the bullpen or something, but
maybe. But
Mhm.
but Heel obviously has had a great year, so I think that's going to be a tough matchup for you guys on Friday. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Yankee fan. Heel has just been very, very good.
Yeah.
I'm also interested in the reception that Alex Verdugo is going to get in his return to Boston this weekend. I am going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say he's going to get booed.
Interesting.
I
think it's going to be a little mixed. I think it's going to be kind of like the Andrew Benintendi when he was a Yankee, because I think Verdugo more likely than not is not going to be with you guys long term, just because you guys have Dominguez in the farm and stuff like that. And I think a lot of the fans honestly liked Doogie in Boston. I think it was just more of I don't think he had much grudges against the overall team. I think it's going to be very mixed. I think that there's going to be some people all right, he wants the Yankees type thing. But he brought a lot of energy. I think that's been really missed so far with the team this year. So 2021, he was great. So I don't think it's going to be full blues. I think it's going to be kind of a mix, kind of like the Andrew Benintendi reception.
Yeah, I guess I could see that too. I mean, Benintendi, was also traded at the deadline to the Yankees in 2022. He started that season off in Kansas City. Verdugo was just flat out traded to the Yankees during this past offseason.
Funny enough, the Yankees are in Kansas City right now, and they're going to Boston after.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Works ways.
Yep. Funny how what goes around comes around. But Doogie is having a very respectable season with the Yankees, and like you said, this is most likely going to be his only season with the Yankees. Him making his return to Fenway is not going to be on the same level as Johnny Damon returning to Boston or Jacoby Ellsbury returning to Boston. Those were completely egregious stabs in the back to the Red Sox because they left via free agency. This is a different scenario. Doogie, obviously, like I mentioned, was traded. So yeah, I guess I could see, some people giving him a standing ovation, but I do expect him to get booed because of the way some things went in Boston, especially with him not showing up on time for a Red and all the drama that went on between him and Alex Cora. I definitely think it rubbed some fans the wrong way. So I definitely don't expect a complete 100% cheer for him. I definitely think there's going to be a mix of cheers and boos for him. So we'll see how that goes. But we'll go over our predictions for this series. Obviously, the Yankees have right now the best record in the American League. The Red Sox are in third place right now in the AL East. The Yankees, over the past couple of years have kind of struggled playing against the Red Sox at Fenway Park. I mean, they've always kind of struggled in recent years. So, right off the bat, I think, being unbiased, I'm going to just say the Yankees will take 2 of 3 from the Red Sox this weekend. I think I think they have an edge tomorrow with Luis Heel on the mound. And I think it's kind of a toss-up on Saturday or Sunday. I think both of those games can go. But like I mentioned, the Yankees at Fenway, it's hit or miss with them. Sometimes they'll play pretty well. Sometimes they won't. Fenway's also notorious for having high-scoring games because obviously of the Green Monster field. It's a tough place to pitch sometimes. So, I definitely think that's why I think it'll be 2 of 3. I think the Yankees lineup's also better than the Red Sox lineup. But I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I think I'll say Yankees take 2 of 3. What do you think?
Yeah. I'll probably go Yankees 2 or 3. It sucks to
Mm.
say it for the first series, but I think it's gonna feel more of a Yankees home game. Like I just don't like. I think obviously Sox fans are gonna be like some like hardcore ones that will show up. But let me ask you this, Ryan: do you think fans on Friday are gonna be watching the Celtics to clinch, or will they be at Fenway Park for the first game against the Yankees?
I think they're going to watch the Celtics clinch.
Exactly. That's just kind of the thing about Boston sports, Ryan. It's all about priorities. And I think, yes, Yankees, Red Sox used to be great back in the day, but I just don't know what the rivalry. It's still a rivalry, of course, but it just doesn't. It doesn't really hit as much when kind of teams aren't the same. I mean, being great. I just think that either one team isn't great, or both teams aren't great, or one team is great and the other is not great. But it's Red Sox Yankees, so you just never know. Anything can really happen for their first time. I think that like you said, the lineup is better. The Yankees lineup is better. The Red Sox legitimately have Rafael Devers, and pretty much, Casas hasn't obviously been playing. Story obviously hasn't been playing. Yoshida obviously has come back. I mean, heck, our best like hitter recently has been Dave Hamilton. So I think you guys will be fine if that's the case. No offense to you, David, I love it, but Cooper Criswell, I mean, he's been all right, but he's starting to kind of regress a little bit recently. Cutter's pitching Sunday. Cutter's obviously he's been regressing a little too, giving up a ton of home runs. But he got them in the game the other night against Philly. I mean, he gave up 4 runs, but Zach Wheeler was just absolutely insane on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. Um, I think potentially if there was any game either to win, it'd be probably Saturday or Sunday. I think Rodon's very hit or miss, specifically at Fenway. I can see him. He's had a really good stretch recently of pitching, so obviously he's just kind of bound for one of the stinkers.
Mm.
But heck, you never know. I would have loved to have Garrett Cole pitch this weekend because it would have warmed my heart. But unfortunately, he's not. So
Thank God.
that's obviously just my banter for you. What?
Thank God he's not pitching at Fenway. Oh my God, it's torturous to watch him pitch at Fenway. And there is not a more one-sided matchup in Major League Baseball, pitcher against hitter, than Rafael Devers against Garrett Cole.
Mm,
Cole, as good as he is, just for whatever reason, just cannot figure out Rafael Devers to save his life. It's amazing. Every time he pitches against the Red Sox, it's every time he pitches against the Red Sox, Devers hits a home run. It seems like, and even if Devers doesn't hit a home run against him, he'll go 3 for 4 with like 2 doubles against him. Like he'll flirt with a home run. So I mean,
yeah,
and
I mean
Cole,
he does really well though against Devers at Yankee Stadium at Fenway. It's incredible.
not necessarily. I've watched it. It's not much better. I actually think it's worse at Yankee Stadium, to be honest.
Really?
I think it's worse.
Okay.
I think it's worse at Yankee Stadium. But
Okay.
The Yankees really struggled against the Red Sox last year. They went just 4-9, and the Red Sox, if I'm not mistaken, I think they took like 5 of 6 games at Yankee Stadium last year, if I'm not mistaken, something like that.
I was at one of them, so that counts.
Yeah, so I think
Mhm.
the Red Sox just completely dominated them last year. I mean, last
We were
year
awful, Ryan,
was
last
a
year.
terrible year. It was just a terrible year for both of our teams. I mean, that's the only thing. That was the only bright spot I think for the Red Sox last year is that they dominated the Yankees. I think that was like
You
the only.
guys at least made the playoffs, though.
No, we didn't. This was last year.
Oh, that's right. You guys didn't make it last year. Why did I
No.
feel like 82 and 80? Damn.
The only thing that we could put a smile on our that could put a smile on our faces is that during that final month of the season at Fenway Park, Yankees won 3 meaningless games in Fenway, which obviously did
That's
not
right.
which did not mean anything for the playoffs, but it prevented the Yankees from finishing in the cellar. That was the only thing
That's right. Okay.
that was the only reason why the Yankees didn't finish in the cellar, because they took a couple of those games at Fenway in September. It was a meaningless series overall, but
Hmm.
which is kind of strange when you hear about a Yankee Red Sox series in September that it's
Yeah, that's
meaningless.
right. Because tickets were like $4 in September.
It was like in the middle of the week too. It was like smack dab in the middle of the week.
There was
Like
like a day game I remember in
yeah,
September, and it was like
well
$5.
one was a makeup game because
That's right.
one of the games got rained out earlier in the year, so they had to make it up that day. I think it was a doubleheader, yes, and I think the
Yeah.
Yankees swept it. I think the Yankees swept that doubleheader, and that I think was a big reason why they didn't finish in last place. But still, the Red Sox just killed the Yankees last year. Overall, they, like I mentioned, they won 9-4 against them. So we'll see how the Yankees fare against them this year. But yeah, the two teams finally meet this weekend for a 3-game weekend series set. And we'll see how it goes. And, like we both mentioned, we predict that the Yankees will take 2 of 3 from the Red Sox. And we'll see if that happens. Obviously, it's baseball. Anything can happen. So, I always take my predictions with a grain of salt. I always make sure I don't become surprised by any results that happen. But we'll see. I mean, I don't think there should be any reason for the Yankees to lose to the Red Sox this year. I really don't. And that, no offense, I know they're your team, but
No. Heck, if there's no reason to me, I'm not. If we get in our ass kicked this year by the Yankees, hopefully this leads to some change.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all I care about. Like I said before, the wins and losses this year for me, I've never felt a year that it does not feel like I'm not going out and hitting the streets after Red Sox winning games. Like I used to be really pumped. Like when Red Sox would win games and shit, like I would be pumped. I'm like, let's go. Now I'm just like, okay. It's just I still root for them. I still love them. But the losses is just like, all right, just another game, just another day. And there's obviously some fans that are like, crap, shit, everything like that. I'm just like, all right. But I mean, if the Yankees kick our ass this year, it'll kind of suck. But it's what it is.
It always sucks whenever either our teams get kicked in the mouth by the other team. It's not fun. And
hey, at least the Astros, we can say that we can be always the enemy is our enemy is our friend, as they say sometimes, and that's the one team that we'll always hate.
I mean, we also hate every other team in the AL East, basically.
Rays.
Too.
We hate the Rays.
Hate the Blue Jays, and I'm starting to hate the Orioles again. So yeah.
I think the Orioles hate is more of just like crap. Now you want to be good.
Yes, that's exactly what I feel about them.
And it's funny enough, with their prospects, they all look the same. It's like they call the guy up, and they all I'm not even trying to be biased or anything, but I'm just like, all right, Gunnar Henderson's up. They have another blonde-haired guy coming up too. It's like they all look the same, and they're all good.
I never want to hear "Sweet Escape" by Gwen Stefani ever again, because all I think about is Gunnar Henderson coming to the plate.
Oh my god,
that's his walk-up song.
Yeah.
You never want to hear that song ever again. But yeah, so we'll see how this series goes this weekend. And now we'll move on to a little bit of a move that happened yesterday. The Los Angeles Dodgers acquired former Blue Jay Cavan Biggio in a trade. So the Blue Jays DFA'd Biggio a couple of days ago. And Biggio has really struggled at the major league level. He has not lived up to the hype that his father had, obviously. His father, obviously, is a Hall of Famer. And he's Seton Hall alum. My parents are both Seton Hall alums. So, fortunately, Cavan just has not been able to live up to that hype that Bo Bichette, Guerrero have in a way. So he was kind of the odd man looking in. And the Blue Jays just cut the cord with him. And now he's been acquired by the Dodgers. And right away, I'm just going to say Biggio is going to be better with the Dodgers than he was with the Blue Jays, because the Dodgers just have a tendency to do that. They'll bring somebody into the team, into the clubhouse, maybe some guy who has struggled, or maybe some no-name, and they'll turn him into a superstar. I don't know if Biggio will necessarily turn into a superstar, but I definitely think he's just going to be a better player with the Dodgers. I think they're going to figure out the proper role for him, and they're going to use him properly. And I think Biggio is going to thrive a little bit more with the Dodgers, with a better coaching staff and better players. I think he's going to embrace the environment that he's in. I just need to look up what the Blue Jays got in return with this trade. But yeah, I think Biggio is going to benefit from this more than struggle with this. So the Dodgers, I'm reading this is from Jeff Passan of ESPN. The Dodgers acquired Biggio in a trade with the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays received right-handed reliever Braden Fisher, and Fisher has split time this season between Double-A and Triple-A. So maybe this is a blessing in disguise for Biggio, but it clearly wasn't working out for him in Toronto. So, and thoughts on this move?
Yeah. I mean, I think for the Dodgers, this is a kind of a low risk, high reward type of move. And with kind of where the Blue Jays are at this point in time, the trade deadline, which we'll talk a little about in a little bit. This is kind of a move I'm kind of anticipating. I'm not anticipating a lot of big time names being moved at this year's deadline, but I think that the Blue Jays could be a potential team that's a selling team, them and the Rays. As according to multiple reports in the Athletic, it sounds like they might be listening to calls on the Rays stars, guys like Yandy and Brandon Lau, even Randy Rosarina. But for the Blue Jays, I mean, Cavan Biggio just didn't work out there. I don't think his playing time wasn't as consistent this year. So, I mean, I saw just as you were talking around that he was in the starting lineup last night. He won 1 for 3. So maybe if he's getting consistent at bats, it might help him a little bit more. But yeah, just decent trade for the Dodgers. I don't think that they gave a ton, and I know a lot of people are like, well, the Dodgers are the Dodgers. They're doing crazy things, but give credit where credit's due. Sometimes, I mean, they're trying to improve as much as they can to try to get a World Series, which is um, very I wouldn't say likely for them, but it's very up there potentially for them. So, good move for them, and we'll see specifically how this works out for them. I think he's going to be a really good bat, maybe down the order, and sometimes wrong with a lot of these players, just change is needed. That's just kind of simply as is. And this might be a guy that might be adapted for it, and might be for the better, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much playing time Biggio is going to get with the Dodgers. I mean, that Dodger lineup is just loaded, so he may only play a few games here or there. But regardless, I do think he could provide some value. Like I mentioned, he's got some speed, and he's pretty good with the glove for the most part. His bat has just struggled though ever since he's come up to the big leagues. It's just never really picked up. So we'll see how it goes, but I definitely think that the Dodgers are going to find a role for him, and I do think this is a good move for him, the Dodgers, and the Blue Jays. I think it was necessary for the Blue Jays to do this because they're struggling, and they definitely need to reconstruct their roster a little bit here, and I think this is kind of the starting point for them in doing that. So we'll see what happens there. But yep, the Dodgers acquire Cavan Biggio from the Blue Jays. And now we'll talk about the Major League Baseball trade deadline. So the deadline obviously is not for a couple more weeks, but there have been some rumors circling around Major League Baseball about some guys who could be potentially dealt. And among them, I'll start it off, is Pete Alonso from the New York Mets. There's been a lot of talk around Alonso. Obviously, he's a free agent after this year. He's a Scott Boras client. So the Mets obviously are having another disappointing season. So it's looking more and more likely that they might part ways with him. I don't know if they're interested in extending him long term. Alonso got off to a very, very slow start this year, although he has kind of picked it up in recent weeks. And in terms of where I could see him land, you know, it's kind of limited for a first baseman, if you ask me, among the competitive teams, or the buyers at the deadline, I should say. One place that I could maybe see him going, although I'm still kind of skeptical about that, maybe Houston, because the Astros obviously have an aging Jose Abreu, just wasting people's time at first base. I mean, they've been playing John Singleton at first base too. And Singleton, although he's got some sneaky power, he's not, he's not going to always, scare people when he comes to the plate. Alonso, is a limited first baseman defensively, but he obviously has some power. And, with the Crawford boxes in left field, we all know the Astros have not really taken off at all this year. So we don't know necessarily just yet if they're going to be buyers or sellers. But, Crane mentioned that, as long as he's in charge, they're going to be buyers. So, there's still a good amount of time for the Astros to, right the ship and to get back in the race. We haven't seen it yet. I guess we thought it would be sooner. But, yeah. There's still time for the Astros. I don't think it's wise to call it curtains on them just yet. We still have another full season of baseball, another full half season to go through. So I think one scenario could be Alonso to the Astros. I mean, there was also talk about Alonso going to the Yankees. I don't think that's happening, and I don't want that to happen. There's no reason for that to happen. The Yankees got Ben Rice, down in the minor leagues.
They got to keep Soto too.
Yeah, so I don't think there's any reason that the Yankees. I mean, they could use him for a rental, just for the rest of the year if they wanted to, just to add another power bat. But why would the Yankees need another power bat another right-handed power bat in that lineup when you already got guys like Judge and Stan
Yeah.
in there? So it makes no sense for the Yankees to go pursue Pete Alonso. So, for me, I could see Alonso landing in Houston. That's really the only place I could really see him, because maybe somebody could use him as a DH.
I got two places for him.
Oh, yeah.
Milwaukee. I think the Brewers have kind of low-key needed consistently a good first baseman. And my other place, I believe, is the Cubs. I think that the Cubs are definitely in the thick of it, but they might need like a popper from the right side. And I think he would be just great. He can stay in a big market over in Chicago. I know that he's from Florida. The Rays, they're not going to be – I never know. But the Marlins, obviously, are awful. I'm just trying to think of like a good team down in Florida right now. I don't even think there's any good ones at this point. So, obviously familiarity sometimes going down there. Obviously the Braves currently, they're all set with Olsen at first. The Astros is very interesting. I know that they haven't got a decent amount of production from that first base at all. Singleton and Jose Abreu is just completely falling off the cliff right now with them. The Mariners, I don't know if we talked about the Mariners, Ryan, but the Mariners could be potentially – they're actually one of the best teams right now in baseball. And Ty France has just not lived up to the hype right now. So I think if Pete maybe went over to the West Coast, if anybody look at him as probably the Mariners. That would be really, really fascinating. Because the Mariners, I think, have a decent lineup, but it's not like a lineup that like wows you. Like it's just kind of like their pitching staff wows you for sure. They have a very, very good pitching staff. But if they added some stuff to their lineup, J-Rod, I think, is very up and down as a player. I love J-Rod, but he's extremely inconsistent. So if Pete maybe went to a team like them, I think it really strengthens a lot, and for them to maybe make that next step once they get to the playoffs.
Well, I definitely think that, adding Alonso to that lineup could definitely help with the power department. But as you mentioned, the Mariner lineup as a whole is very, very streaky. Even though the Mariners lead the American League West, they have a nice cushion in that division right now. The Mariner lineup, or the Mariner offense, has been pretty bad. They're actually one of the worst offenses in all of baseball. They strike out way too much, and Alonso is a guy who is not known for his contact or his batting average. So, you got to consider that. Do you really need another guy who's going to strike out a lot? He'll put the ball in the seats, but do you want another guy who bats for a low batting average and strikes out a lot? I think the Mariners need a guy who puts the ball in play more, to be honest. So I don't know if that's a good fit necessarily for that kind of lineup. To me, you already got Cal Raleigh who does that. He puts the ball in seats, but he strikes out way too much, and it just doesn't hit for contact. And I don't know if the Mariners are. The Mariner lineup is just very flawed, like you mentioned. Everybody's very streaky. Like you mentioned, J-Rod's up and down. J.P. Crawford's nothing special on offense. So there's just maybe bringing in a name like Alonso could help them out. I don't know. I'm ambivalent towards that move. There's pros and there's cons, like with every move. Yeah, that could be something. But we'll see what happens with Alonso. That's one name that's, in my opinion, that's definitely going to get moved at the deadline. Another name that I think is definitely going to get moved is Tyler Anderson, the left-handed starting pitcher from the Los Angeles Angels. Anderson's having a very good year, and he's finally realizing his potential. He's one of the best pitchers right now. He's easily the best pitcher in that god-awful Anaheim rotation. There's the old saying, you can never have enough pitching, and any team that's going to be competing for a World Series title can use another pitcher. I don't care who it is or what. You can always add another arm. So, in my opinion, Anderson will be pursued by several teams this year. I think that the Dodgers will be interested because the Dodgers always love to add up on their
He's
pitching.
also pitched there too.
Yes, so I think the Dodgers will definitely. The Dodgers, like I said, they won't make the Dodgers might not hook the biggest fish in the sea this deadline, but they'll get some pieces that will fit their image of a team. The Dodgers already have so many big fish in the sea in their roster, so they don't need to necessarily continue to do that. I think they're going to grab a nice piece here or there. So I could see Anderson potentially going to the Dodgers. I could also see Anderson potentially going to the Padres. The Padres could also use a little bit of help in that rotation. Randy Vasquez and Johnny Brito have kind of been inconsistent for the Padres. This year. Michael King's been, my old friends. Michael King's also been a little inconsistent this year, so I definitely think that the Padres could use some pitching help in that rotation come the deadline. I don't know if you have any thoughts of. I think most likely Anderson will stay out west. That's my opinion. I don't know if you have any thoughts about this.
Yeah, I think for Anderson, there's a lot of teams. The Giants, maybe. The Giants, I think, might need some middle rotation help. Obviously Webb and Snell, of course, at the top there. But looking at some of these, like the wild card race right now in the NL, like the Cubs are only a half game back. They're 33 and 35. The Reds are half game back. They're the same. The Cardinals are 32 and 34. They're a half game back. So it's kind of hard to judge because like a lot of these teams are kind of still right there, like in and out. So there might be some more teams that might be looking at him that we do not talk about. Heck, even the Mets are 3.5 back, and the Mets really haven't had kind of shown me that they're going to expect to buy. But Anderson's just a guy that I think can just give a team innings. I saw the guy pitch. I've seen the guy actually pitch a couple of times. I saw him pitch once at Fenway, and then I saw him pitch for the Mariners actually at Yankee Stadium. I was actually at the game that Joey Gallo hit his first home run, I think, at Yankee Stadium, which was kind of fun. It was kind of neat for that, at least for the time being there until he turned into an absolute pumpkin. But, I think for the AL, the Orioles. And I know that obviously you don't have the Orioles get better, Ryan, but this feels like an Orioles type move. John Maines is obviously out for the year, unfortunately, once again. Dean Kramer's been hurt. Cole Irvin's decent, but he doesn't throw hard. He's just kind of a number 4, number 5 type guy. He can kind of be in the pen too. They rely heavily on Burns, Bradish, and Grayson. And if they don't get Luzardo, which I think Luzardo has a very good chance of going to Baltimore, I think that this is kind of a decent fallback for the Orioles. So
I don't know. I was about to mention, I think that the Orioles might pursue another pitcher, actually.
Okay.
That pitcher being Garrett Crochet from the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah.
Very high chance that the White Sox are going to deal Crochet at the deadline.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And with how deep the Orioles farm system is, I definitely think that there's some room for the Orioles to sacrifice a couple of prospects to get Crochet. Obviously, there's no hope for the White Sox at all. Their farm system is completely shot. They desperately need to start from the ground up again, which is going to take an eternity, but they got to start somewhere. So you might as well start by going to the team, by making a deal with the team with the best farm system in all of baseball. And it would be a win for both sides, if you ask me. Crochet's having a breakout year. He's easily the lone bright spot for the White Sox in this god-awful nightmare of a season. So, the Orioles can stack up on their rotation. You add Crochet along in a rotation with Corbin Burns. I think that's a win for them. The White Sox get a couple of nice prospects in return. They can start to slowly but gradually get back to where they want to be, and hopefully, to God, these prospects don't turn into busts. So, that's one. I think the Orioles are going to pursue Garrett Crochet at the deadline more so than Tyler Anderson.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely Crochet is going to get moved. Him and the White Sox just seem to go full fire sale now. Like they're even very open to willing to deal Luis Rivera Jr., which we'll probably talk about. I know there's a couple teams that I have for Rivera. But yeah, with Crochet, I mean, you can go a lot of places. How about the Guardians, Ryan?
Oh,
Putting him kind of at the top of that rotation. The Guardians obviously had a really, really good season so far, but they don't have a ton of lefties in their rotation. They obviously have McKenzie, Ben Lively, Carrasco, Shane Bieber obviously is down. But I'm looking at the overall rotation. You can kind of slide him in there. Honestly, make him as your number 1A, maybe two for sure. And the Guardians, I know the AL Central doesn't get a lot of love, and, deservedly so. I mean, most of the time they don't, but he would be a tremendous fit, I think, to the Guardians.
he would be a nice fit. I don't know if the White Sox would be interested in doing business with a division rival, though necessarily. That might be the only
It'd
thing
be
that.
the White Sox, though. You never know.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, the White Sox are just so out of it. I mean, they're on a different continent basically at this point in the game. So, I mean, they may have to bite the bullet and do business with a division rival if they want to make any kind of progress this season, because it's just so bad in Chicago. This is arguably one of the worst. This is one of the worst positions I think I've seen a Major League Baseball team in, both where they are at in season and for the foreseeable future. There's there's nowhere to go but up from here for the White Sox. They got to do something. They have to unload. And, they're obviously going to unload on Crochet. Luis Robert is going to go somewhere. I'm not high on Robert at all, honestly. I think he's very overrated. I'm just not really impressed by what I see from him. To me, he's too injured. He's injured all the time. Sure, he'll put the ball into the seats like he did last night, where the White Sox teased their fans again for the 1,000th time that they might steal a victory. But of course, they couldn't do it, and they lost again. What else is new? So, I mean, Crochet is going to be gone. Paul DeJong most likely is going to get dealt at the deadline as well.
Yeah. He said well recently, so that trade value is definitely getting up there.
Yeah, it's getting up there. DeJong's a shortstop, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
He could play second and short.
He plays second and
So
short.
actually, for the Red Sox per se, he'd be a perfect guy to have because you don't have to pay the bank for him. And this feels like a Red Sox move. Apparently, they were interested in him last year. He hit the Red Sox really well this past weekend, so bring him down. He can't be any worse, I guess. So
you guys got to start winning some games and determine what direction you're going to be going in. If you guys can pull a win streak together over the next couple of weeks, and you guys, slowly get into the wild card race, why not? But if you guys are kind of still in this, limbo place right now, then I don't know if it's worth it. But
I mean, heck, Ryan, we're the best 500 team possible. We lose a game under 500, we'll get right back up. We'll get a game over 500, we'll go right back down. So if ownership wants to look at it, be like, you want to play for a 500 team and just stay there, just come over to us. We won't change. That's at least one positive, is I don't think it's completely fallen off yet. I mean, we haven't gone into the dog days of summer yet, and that's where this team could completely fall off. And my interest would be from not great or don't even care to completely potentially not even watch, honestly.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens with there. There's also been talk. Obviously, Tommy Pham's another guy on the White Sox who
I feel like he's always moved, Ryan. He's just like that guy. I feel awful for him, but he does great everywhere. Like the Red Sox had him for a little bit. I think it was in August a couple years ago, and he was just going crazy. And then the Mets had him for a little bit. He was great. Like you just get him up, and he'll just play great anywhere. And people don't think he's that much of anything, but he's really good.
Well, he plays hard. I will give him that. But I think he's just too streaky for my liking. I mean, yeah, he went off, when he first came to the White Sox, but there was no pressure on him at all coming to the White Sox. He's playing with a bunch of minor leaguers. So, he's
Sure.
here to help. He was there basically to help, teach these kids how to play baseball. And he thrived and exceeded in those expectations. And now, his reward is going to be traded at some point to a better team. So we'll see which team is bold enough to undertake the fiery personality that is Tommy Pham, who's obviously no stranger to some controversy in baseball here and there. But I think he'll find a new home at some point.
Anybody that wants to have a guy that loves fantasy football, you can obviously bring him down too.
Yep, absolutely. And There's also been talk about Ryan McMahon being dealt at the deadline from the Rockies. I've heard some rumors that McMahon could be going to the Yankees. The Yankees, obviously, as good in the position as they're in, they could always get better. Those corner infield spots for the Yankees are their weak points. Rizzo has had a horrible year this year, and he's getting up there in age. It's very sad to see. I love Rizzo, but my God, he's having a nightmare year, and it looks like age has just finally caught up to him. He's put his body through a lot, and it might just be time for the Yankees to part ways with him. And, the Yankees could call up Ben Rice. That's one option. Or they could make a deal and bring Ryan McMahon over. McMahon is a left-handed bat. The Yankees would love to add another left-handed bat in that lineup. And I think, his numbers would probably, drop a little bit from going from Coors Field to Yankee Stadium. But you got that short porch in right field. That's always enticing. So I think the power numbers could definitely go up for McMahon if he were to come to New York. I don't know necessarily, though, if that will happen. I think that the Dodgers asking price in return will be kind of hefty. McMahon is also in the third year of a 6-year, $70 million contract. And the Yankees obviously are going to be prioritizing Soto this offseason, and they got a couple of other contracts that they have to worry about, obviously, like Judge, Stan, and Cole. So, but I mean, $70 million for the Yankees is nothing. So I could see. I think it would be a good move for the Yankees to get another left-handed bat in that lineup. I think that might be the most, in all likelihood, if McMahon is dealt at the deadline, that is where he goes. I know there's also been talk about Paul Goldschmidt being dealt at the deadline, even though he's had a really bad year, the worst year of his career. Cardinals.
He's a free agent, so.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are going to just cut the cord with him. Goldschmidt's getting up there in age, though. He's 36 or 37 years old. And his best days, in my opinion, are behind him. But I think a team could use a team could use a veteran presence like that. I still think there's some pop in that bat. I could see him maybe going to Cleveland, to be honest with you. I think that's a good fit for him. It's not too far from St. Louis. And, the Guardians are a very young team. And I think bringing in a veteran bat like that could help them out.
Yeah, no, that'll be really good for them. He hasn't really played in big markets, to be honest. So, between the Diamondbacks and then the Cardinals, just feels like he's probably going to go somewhere mid again. So.
Yeah, so I think those are some of the big names that are going to be talked about. Josh Bell's another name that I just
and Luzardo, too.
And Luzardo, yeah. I mean, we talked about first base is kind of, hit or miss with most of these teams. Bell, in my opinion, Bell's landing spot possibilities are the same teams that we had mentioned about Alonso, such as Milwaukee, Seattle, and Houston. I could see any one of the three teams taking a chance on Bell. He's a switch hitter. He's got plenty of power.
He's good. Yeah.
He's got skill. Doesn't have any skill with the glove, though. He's a very poor fielder. But I definitely think he could provide some pop to a lineup that could use some pop. So we'll see how that goes for Bell. And yeah, I think those are some of the big names that are going to be talked about and dealt at the deadline. The deadline this year, there aren't really any like significantly star popping names for this.
That'll happen in the off season.
Yeah, that'll happen in the off season. But
maybe Bo Bichette. I mean, another one I think I have the trade deadline, Ryan, is I have Bo Bichette going. I think he is going to become. Well, I was going to say this, but I don't know if they're going to need him now. But people have been talking to him going to the Dodgers. Bo Bichette. Put him in that lineup.
Yeah, I mean, there's been talk about, the Dodgers upgrading at shortstop. I mean, Mookie, obviously, as great as he is, he's not a shortstop.
No.
And, he's better going back to the outfield. So I definitely think the Dodgers need to upgrade at shortstop. So I can definitely see that. I think the Dodgers are either going to land DeYoung or Bichette or somebody at the deadline to go play at shortstop. I mean, and also, depending on how things go for them moving forward, I mean, the Rangers, could also shortstop because Corey Seager is hurt again. I don't know.
He came back the last night.
Oh, he did?
He got a home run against his former team. So
even still, I don't know if you can rely on him to stay healthy.
Yeah.
I think you got to have some backup just in case he goes down again. So we'll see how that goes. But the Rangers are a team that are not out of it.
It ain't over.
It ain't over, but they gotta get moving if they want to keep their season alive. But yeah, those are some names that we have, and we'll see what happens. And we'll wrap it up with what's going on around the league, where teams stand. So we'll start in the AL East. The Yankees lead the way at 49-21. They have a 700 winning percentage. That's pretty crazy. But right on their tail, though, of course, are the Orioles, not going anywhere. 45-22. The Orioles have won 6 in a row. They swept the Rays this weekend, and they've taken the first 2 games of a 3-game set against the Braves at home. So the Orioles are just not slowing down at all. Your Red Sox still at 500, 34-34 in third place, best 500 team in all of baseball.
Yeah, right.
Yep. Blue Jays are in fourth at 33-35. They've been playing a little bit better, but still not good enough to get back into the swing of things. And in last place are the Rays, who have been playing really bad baseball recently. They are 32-36. They lead the major leagues in home runs allowed. So their pitching has just been terrible this year.
You would not have think that, but they're a pitching line that they have.
No, not at all. But it is what it is, and I got no sympathy for them. I hate it. In the American League Central, Cleveland leads the way, 43-23. Continue to play great baseball. The Royals are in second at 39-30. The Royals have gotten their teeth kicked in by the Yankees this past week.
The reality check.
Kind of a reality check.
Haven't the Yankees only lost 1 game in the AL Central?
That's crazy. 17-1 against the AL Central. It's absurd. Absolutely crazy.
I mean, I knew that you guys were the Twin status, but I didn't know that you guys were the Central status this year. My God.
Well, their sons, the Twins, are in third place at 36-32.
Mm-hmm.
In fourth place are the Tigers at 32-35, and then the Dead Sox, of course, running up the in dead last, 17-52. They've lost 4 in a row.
There'll be a recurring type of, we don't. It's whatever.
Whatever at that point. In the American League West, the Mariners lead the charge. They are 40-30, 10 games over 500. Finally, it's nice to see somebody start to get some consistency in the AL West. Defending champion Rangers, second place, 32-35. Astros, third place, 31-38. Angels are in fourth at 26-41, and in last place, of course, are the A's at 26-44. They've lost 5 in a row.
Solely us thought the A's would get things going. About the trade deadline, do you think Mason Miller is going to get traded?
Oh boy. In all honesty,
I'm gonna probably say no.
I'm going to say no too. I think that the A's need to build a little bit more around him.
They better not get rid of him.
They got nothing going for them. Just keep somebody, please. Come on, just keep somebody.
Right.
Yeah. So Yep, that's the AL West. In the National League East, the Phillies have a 10-game lead. You guys beat them last night, though, so that was nice to see somebody beat them. The Phillies have been on a tear like this whole year.
Yeah.
They lead the charge at 46-21. The Braves look like a complete shell of themselves. They have been playing some really bad baseball recently.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost 5 in a row. Their offense is terrible. They've lost the first 2 games of this series to the Orioles, and they can't hit. I don't know what's happened.
Who would have thought that, Ryan? This year with the Braves, we just – I mean, I know obviously Acuna's a massive loss, but they were good even without him. I thought that – I mean, Austin Riley I've seen this year, his stats have been awful.
Riley's been bad. Matt Olson's been terrible this year. It's been bad. Weird. They do not look good at all right now. I think they'll eventually pick it up and, start to get back to respectability at some point. But my God, they look terrible. You wouldn't think this is you wouldn't think that this is the Braves. Mm-hmm. It's kind of shocking how bad they're playing. It's their first. They currently are on a 5-game losing streak, like I mentioned. This is their first 5-game losing streak since 2017, which was the last time they didn't make the playoffs and the last time they finished below 500. And right now the Braves are only 5 games over 500 at 35-30. So we'll see what happens. I think they'll eventually right the ship a little bit. There's still a lot of time in the season, but they don't look good. They don't look good at all right now. The Nationals are in third in the National League East at 32-35. Mets are in fourth at 29-37. And in last place, of course, are the Marlins at 23-44. National League Central, the Brewers with a very comfortable lead in that division, 7 games ahead of the Cubs. The Cubs are 33-35. The Reds are also 33-35. The Cardinals are 32-34, and the Pirates are 32-35. The Brewers lead that division with a 40-28 record. And finally, of course, the National League West, the Dodgers lead the charge at 42-27. The Padres are in second at 37 and 35. They've won 3 in a row and are finally starting to look a little better. The Giants are in third, a game under 500, 34 and 35, but they actually had the final wild card spot in the National League. National League is just terrible this year right now. But it's only a game under 500. Hopefully they can, put together some wins if they're gonna make the playoffs this year. And I don't want to see a losing team make the playoffs. I really don't. That's my biggest fear.
Bad for baseball.
It's bad for baseball. Diamondbacks are in fourth at 32 and 36, and the Rockies are in last at 24 and 44. So that's where the standings are as of the day of this recording, or as the morning of this recording, June 13th, 2024. Anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
Not really. I mean, we kind of talked the Red Sox like at the beginning, compared to what we've done in the past. So that's good. You talked about your Yankees earlier. So, this weekend should be a lot of fun. We'll see how things go. Next week, obviously, we'll recap the first ever time of our teams going at it this year. It's kind of crazy it didn't happen until June, but with the scheduling, it's just a little bit different than past. So, yeah, it should be exciting. Hopefully by next week that the Celtics have won it all. And, yeah, that's pretty much it.
And we'll see how it goes. Hopefully we don't go after each other on next week's episode after this weekend. But on behalf of Ben Kruse,